everybody, Michelle here, and I wanted to come on today. This is our monthly chat via Facebook Live and Instagram Live where I come on, I talk about a topic, and then I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Tonight, I'm having a very special event. So Jen is here with us. She works with me, and she's going to put in the link in the comments, a link to join me tonight. I'm actually every November, I do a special workshop where it's kind of like in honor of Juliana because her birthday is actually in November. And what I do is I'll end up having like a workshop and we talk about her story. And I do kind of talk about it regularly, but this is like the only time all year that I kind of go in depth with everything I did. And this year I have a little bit of a spin on it because, you know, Juliana went from nonverbal to sign language to speaking. And it was an amazing process to watch. And I've yet to find a lot that have done that. Not to say that that's not possible. I see it in my program where I'm starting to see children that are speaking and they're doing that. But when I say is I want to know of adults with autism that have had kind of a similar journey, and that I haven't seen a lot of. We've definitely done it in our program, but I haven't seen a lot of that out in the world. And about a year or so ago, I heard Armando, who is now a coach in my masterclass, and he is an adult with autism, and he's also a BCBA, and he did not speak till the age of 7. So he's going to be my special guest tonight, and I'm going to talk about my autism journey from when my daughter was diagnosed and to where she is today. She's the double digiter now. She's 10 years old. And then Armando, I'm going to ask questions, and you guys can ask questions about what it was like for him. I mean, he remembers what it was like to not be able to speak. He remembers what it was like that he didn't even have ABA as an option for his family because it wasn't covered under insurance back then. And he believes in it now as an adult with autism, that so much so that he became a BCBA. So this is a free workshop. I do this once every year where I kind of just talk about Juliana's stories, and then we just coach people. We answer questions. It could be on communication, how to get communication skills for your child. It could be potty training. It could be how to help with problem behaviors. So he and I will be on this workshop tonight. So if you're interested in getting more information on that, just check out the comment section, or actually on Instagram, you can check the link in my bio. I think it's called An Autism Journey, Diagnosed to Chatty. And it's a diagnosed to chatty 10-year-old, and it's also 29-year-old because Armando's 29, and he's a very funny dude, and he's amazing, and he just got married this year. And if my daughter turned out half as good as him, I would be so delighted. So we wanted to kind of share with you in this workshop about what is possible. And last night I had my group coaching call with my students, and one of the things we talked about was there's this book I'm reading right now called The Gap and the Gain. And it's been a really great book because one of the things we teach on my program is living in the expectation gap. And basically what that is like when your child is diagnosed, you have there's a gap between what you thought the experience was going to be a parent. So when you're pregnant with the child, you're thinking about what life is going to be like, how it's going to feel to raise this child. I remember thinking about like maybe she'd be present in a student body, maybe she would be this awesome, amazing swimmer, all of these things. And then I thought about how I was going to show up as a parent. I kind of knew what I was going to do, what I wasn't going to do. And then the diagnosis came, and all of my hopes and dreams just kind of went out the window. And I remember thinking in my head, like, you know, it took months for me to kind of snap out of it and say, like, you can't stay here. She needs you. And it was that thought that I had. I talk about a lot that, you know, I was looking in the mirror and right before bed, and I said, I'm going to die one day, and who's going to care for her when I'm gone? And I didn't know what moving forward was going to get us. I just knew that I never wanted to leave this earth knowing I didn't show up as her mother. So the expectation gap, which is where a lot of parents get stuck, is that we're still vying and desiring that ideal parenting experience that we thought we were going to have before the child was diagnosed. It's almost like a grieving process. Like we're grieving this typical childhood we're supposed to have, and we never get out of that. And we're always thinking about that. And and when we're doing that, we're not thinking about what is in our control of what we can do now. So that's what the book is about. It's called The Gap in the Game. The gap is living in that ideal of what should have been, what you feel should have been, that it's the not rights, it's not fairs, versus accepting where we are and creating something beautiful from that space. And that's what Armando's mother did for him. I would like to say that's what I've done for my daughter, and how I've helped many parents in my program do that as well. So I wanted to read something from this book today because I thought it was so, he actually talks in this book about special needs teachers, and that the yearly attrition rate is over 13%. And that basically means that in a year's period, 13% of the teachers leave their jobs in special education. And a lot of the times they say that's because it's a lot of demands, but he also believes that a lot of these teachers live in the gap as well. Now, what I thought was, I want to apply this to us as parents, because as us as parents, we have to really look at, like, they get to leave their job, right? But this is our job 24/7. So I really applied this to parents, and I wanted to read it to you from the parent perspective. And basically it was talking about a special education, a physical therapist, and she works with severely disabled children, and she loves her job, and she sees all her coworkers leaving, and she understands that they're living in the gap. Instead of what we want to do with our children, this is what I did with Juliana, is we want to live in the game. And how we do that now, how do we leave the gap and live in the game, is measure. We call it measuring backwards. And basically what I did, and this is what I did, I didn't even read the book, but this is exactly what I did with Juliana, is I looked at where I was a week ago and where I am today, and see if I've made any progress. And usually I did. And usually based on that type of comparison, which I feel is the healthier of the comparisons, versus comparing to external sources, comparing to what you read on a Google search, comparing to the kids in their classroom, this is what's going to keep you motivated and help you from getting into a gap mentality. So I just wanted to read this. I thought it was important. And this teacher said, it's extremely important to be regularly reminded of past gains. Without seeing progress, it's all too easy to burn out and give up. Even in the smallest, seemingly most insignificant form of progress, when appreciated, is the fuel these people need to keep going. Being reminded that the child can grow is the epiphany that both this teacher and her clients' parents use to maintain hope. Without hope, motivation is shattered. Without hope, you can't have purpose and meaning in what you're doing. Progress is everything. If we don't believe someone else can make progress, then we've given up on them. And that applies, if they're talking about special education teachers, that applies to us parents too. If we already have like this idea that, like, listen, I remember, I'll never forget this. I was on a weekend trip. I encouraged them, like, come on, ladies, like it was the new special education school that Juliana was going to. It was the first school she went to when she left her early intervention. I said, come on, girls, let's go do a night away to do like a spa day. And I'll never forget this. And we're all sitting in the hot tub, and two of the three moms, our kids are about 3 or 4 years old. And the moms in the hot tub are talking about signing away their houses to the state, so they know that when they die, their children will have a place to live. And I remember just being like, now my daughter's sign language at this point. And I remember thinking in my head, like, what? Like, how are you even putting that out in the universe right now? Like, I'm not even thinking that. And if that's the energy that we're bringing to the table, and we're trying to potty train or trying to teach our kids communication skills, how effective are you going to be when you're sitting in the gap like that? So what I always did with Juliana, even if they told me on an IEP meeting she's socially 2 years behind, and I still kind of feel like she's about 1.5 years, maybe she's starting to gain a little ground back, maybe about 1.5 years behind. I don't look at that like, oh, look at her little friends, they're just so much more mature than her, they're doing so many more things. That's not gonna keep me in that forward momentum to keep trying things for her, to keep coming up with ideas of how to create social environments to help her close in on where she's at. What I just like to look at is, where was she at the beginning of the year, and where is she now, and have we made progress? And that's how you stay in the game. You look at where your child was, your child, not anybody else's, where they are today, and look at the difference. I remember there were times when I came home from dropping off at that school feeling bad, like, oh my gosh, I feel like we're not making progress, blah, blah, blah. And I'd tell Michelle, it could always be worse. And I would think of like a scenario that could be worse. And I'd be like, I'd snap right out of it. Like, this is not us. This isn't what this is. Look at where she was. She's come a long way. It may not be what I thought it was going to be, but it's still progress and I'll take it. So I just think it's important for everybody to see this. So having an internal reference point to determine the right progress for our children is essential for their happiness and well-being. Otherwise, they're measuring themselves against other families or situations, which can only easily lead to gap thinking and despair. That's why it's so important to be thinking about your child from 6 months ago, 3 months ago, a week ago, to where they are now. I talked to parents last night that it started in my program a week ago and have made tremendous progress over the weekend in potty training. That's amazing. They feel, the mom said she felt like a queen. She walked around, I feel like a queen. She's this one wasn't potty training. This one was her daughter was what we call a repeater or emerging talker, right? She could repeat anything she hears, but she wasn't using language functionally. And her mom got her to say milk, please. And she was just walking around. She came on. I just want to come on this call and just tell you that I just feel like a queen because my daughter said milk, please. And a week ago, she was not. That's the type of energy and momentum you want to build to help you to show up and come up with the ideas and stay determined and creative in getting your babies to move forward. So if you compare to externals, that will lead to gap thinking. And parents of special needs children who primarily focus on the problems burn out much quicker than the gain-focused counterparts. When these moms, when I get new clients, I get so excited. I'm like, ooh, it's like a lump of clay. I can just like mold you. I'm going to put you, I'm so excited for your babies because I'm so excited for like the potential. Great. A 6-year-old, oh my gosh, great. We're potty training. An 18-year-old right now, great. I'm excited because this is like, okay, I see the potential. You guys have been, you come to me and sometimes you're a little beaten down, right? You're living in that gap thinking, right? But you have a little bit of hope. That's all I need. If anyone here knows, like, gosh, you know what? I feel like I am living in the gap, but I want to know, I want to believe something is possible. I'm open to believing that something's possible. That's all I need. So if you're in that space, I want you to join me tonight and listen to some amazing progress, not just for Juliana, but from Armando, from somebody who remembered what it was like to be nonverbal. It's very emotional every time I talk to him. And I thought it was just so appropriate. Anyway, let me just finish reading this and I'll take any questions. Because this parent takes the game perspective for each of the children she works with, that would be me, but I'm just saying it's me, even though it's not. She discerns progress happening regularly and she loves her job. When you stay in the game, your motivation to push through challenges is not only enabled, but strengthened. Being in the game helps you discern the progress that others in the gap would miss. Inattentional blindness occurs when you are so fixated on one thing you fail to see everything else going on around you. Seeing gains gives you hope, confidence, and motivation to go forward, even when progress is difficult or slower than desired. So somebody, I think, posted a question about mental health. This is mental health right here on a platter. Like, I'm telling you, everybody comes to me like, show me what's behind the curtain, Michelle, how you can get all these kids potty trained. There's nothing there behind my curtain that you don't already have here. What's so amazing is that I just need you to see that what's possible. And sometimes it's just enough. Like, sometimes I feel like my energy is contagious. And I'm like, great, let's go. And they're like, okay, let's go. You know what I mean? But like for this mom to come on last night, I feel like a queen. She said, milk, please. And she never, ever used her voice functionally to request anything. And now she's requesting most food. Now she's ready to take it to the next level. But like, if we come into it and we're thinking, all her cousins are the same age and they're talking up a storm and look at this one here, potty train, and my kid, I'm in the back of the van changing another shit diaper, right? If I'm like that, I'm never going to get there. I want to think about what can I do, even if it's something small, especially if I feel like I've been beat down by living in the gap. What is something small I can do that's going to push us one step further than we were yesterday? Okay. All right. So does anybody have any questions for me? Could you please talk about mental health? Being a mother of an autistic son, sometimes it gets very exhausting and overwhelming. How to handle such situations? Sorry for asking early. I don't want you to be sorry ever. I want you to ask me any questions that you have. So this gap thinking is one of the biggest pitfalls of parents of children with autism. I try to say it's basically what I've always said. Like if I'm living in grief, right? Grief has 5 stages. It's I don't have it on my wall, so I'm looking at it. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And most parents linger at between 2 and 3, 2, 3, and 4, anger, bargaining, and depression. Why me? Why did this happen? Why does my life have to be so hard? I didn't sign up as, I was here too. Every parent, I believe, cycles through this. The problem is that most parents get stuck in the mental mud here. Acceptance doesn't mean I love autism. I'm wearing the puzzle piece t-shirt and I'm just, running around town and just, flying my puzzle piece flag up the pole. It's not about that. Acceptance is like, listen, this isn't what I signed up for. It isn't right. It isn't fair, or whatever it is that you may say to yourself, but it's what is. And if I can't get to this point of just acknowledging that it's here and it's here to stay, then I can't move forward. When you get to acceptance, I believe that there's a 6th stage that nobody talks about with grief, and that is creation. Once you can accept that this is where we are, then I can start to create from there. And I'll share one more story with you guys. But if you haven't already, check the link in my bio on Instagram and Facebook. Check in the comments. Come to this workshop tonight. It's free. I'm going to show you the story of Juliana and how I got her from nonverbal to using signs for the potty to speaking. I want you guys to see that that's possible and that you can do this. And this is another thing with this, what this mom said too, being a mother of an autistic child, sometimes it gets very exhausting and overwhelming. I get it. What I want to do with these lives and these workshops is listen, you're already showing up as a parent, right? You're over showing up because you're dealing with potentially behaviors or changing diapers past the time that you should, right? And I get it. That's exhausting. What if you show up now and I could show you how to show up in a way that isn't like another thing on your to-do list, but makes the way you show up so much more effective? What if we can help you through giving you the mental and emotional support to get the potty training done, to help extinguish these behaviors, to understand the root cause? How is that going to help you to show up as a parent, not just for this child, but for all of your children? How is it going to help you to show up as an individual for yourself? I want to be like the beacon of hope of what's possible. And that's what we're going to try and do tonight on this workshop. So if you guys are around, it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's on Zoom. The link is in my bio for Instagram. We're going to put it in the chat. I think we can put it in the chat too, Jen, on Instagram as well, so you guys can sign up. And I think that's it. So if anyone has any other questions, I just wanted to come on, say hi to everybody and tell you about this workshop tonight and talk about like the gap in the game, right? If I'm still in that thought of like, this is what I should have gotten, but this is what I should have gotten, Michelle. This is what I didn't sign up for this. We didn't have this in my family. I had this, I had that. There was no reason for me to have got this, right? That's energy spinning in the mental mud. And here's your baby just waiting for you, needing your help and your love and your support to get these important skills to have a chance at a life of independence. So I hope this was helpful. Live in the game, not the gap. Join me tonight. And if anyone doesn't have any questions, we'll peace out. Bye, everybody. Oh, wait, can't wait to hear Michelle. Thanks for this reminder. Can't hear it enough. You got it, honey.